Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and discover exactly how a crowded, disease-prone imperial capital systematically engineered itself into a modern, highly livable metropolis. When we think of Vienna today, we usually picture this pristine, highly functional city that literally tops global livability rankings year after year. But, well, it absolutely did not start out that way. We're going to trace the fascinating century-long engineering and social journey that built the Vienna we know today.
So, to really understand the sheer brilliance of Vienna's transformation, we first have to look at the suffocating, overcrowded conditions of the 19th century city, conditions that made these bold solutions absolutely necessary. At the time, the city was practically trapped, bound by obsolete military walls, constantly flooding from unregulated rivers, and severely lacking basic sanitation or housing for a booming population. The monumental question facing city planners was, how do you completely reinvent an existing, struggling city for the future without, completely destroying it in the process?
We are going to explore this journey through 4 major pillars. 1. Breaking the city walls. 2. Engineering a healthy metropolis. 3. The city's green oasis. And 4. The municipal housing revolution. Looking at the rapid, chronological succession of these infrastructural milestones starting in the mid-1800s, you can see Vienna went from tearing down medieval defenses to pioneering massive public health and housing initiatives in just a few decades. It was a relentless push for modernization. Let's start with Section 1, breaking the city walls. For centuries, Vienna was a fortress city, locked tight behind massive defensive walls and a wide military zone known as a glacis. But by 1857, these walls were quite literally keeping progress out. Following major shifts in land ownership after the Revolutionary Year of 1848, Emperor Francis Joseph made a bold call. He ordered the old military fortifications to be completely razed. Now, military circles had pushed hard to keep these massive demarcations, especially after the recent revolutions. But ultimately, the sheer need for space won out. And just like that, a massive ring of land right around the inner city was completely freed up. The immediate solution? Turn that former military glacis into a wide ring of prime real estate. This birthed the magnificent Ringstrasse. Instead of just cramming cramped housing onto this new land, they envisioned a sweeping, wide boulevard. Designed in a popular historicist style of the day, it became home to stately public buildings like the Parliament, the State Opera, and the neo-Gothic City Hall. It completely transformed the city's visual identity and finally opened up the urban core. Moving right along to Section 2, engineering a healthy metropolis. Because, let's be honest, beautiful boulevards don't mean much if the public is gravely ill. In 19th century Vienna, rapid industrialization paired with a hopelessly inadequate drinking water supply led to working conditions so miserable that pulmonary tuberculosis actually became known globally as the Viennese disease. I mean, imagine a disease spreading so rampantly that the rest of the world names the illness after your city. It was a dire public health emergency, heavily driven by poor sanitation and an exploding urban population that desperately lacked clean water. To solve this, engineers constructed the first and second Vienna's spring water mains. And the sheer scale of this ambition is just astonishing. Instead of trying to filter dirty local water, they piped in pristine alpine spring water from over 65 miles away. They brought it straight into the city from the foothills between Lower Austria and Styria. To put that into perspective, it was an absolute game-changer for public health. Parallel to this, they pulled off another massive feat between 1869 and 1875 by excavating an entirely new riverbed for the Danube. They basically bypassed the city proper to stop chaotic flooding and boost economic significance. Before 1869, the Danube was this unpredictable, crisscrossing mess of branches and backwaters, making river crossings a nightmare and flooding a frequent disaster. By literally moving the main river and creating the regulated Danube Canal, they saved the city from floods and created a massive economic boom area between the waters. Let's move to Section 3, the city's green oasis. With the walls gone and fresh water flowing, planners recognized that a healthy city also desperately needed room to breathe. So, in 1862, they opened the Vienna Stadtpark. They transformed 65,000 square meters of former glacis into a lush English landscape park, boasting vast floral diversity and protected trees. Designed by landscape painter Joseph Cellini and city gardener Rudolf Seebeck, this became Vienna's very first public municipal park. It was a totally radical concept for the city at the time, an immense, free, green sanctuary right in the heart of a bustling metropolis, designed for literally everyone to enjoy. And right within the park, they built the magnificent Kur Salon. Originally opened in 1867 as a Renaissance-style pavilion for serving healing waters, it quickly evolved into a legendary concert venue for the Strauss brothers. Built by Johann Garben, it features this sweeping terrace looking out into the park. It's kind of fascinating how a building intended for quiet, healing retreats completely transformed into the pulsating, energetic heart of Viennese waltz and musical culture.
And finally, Section 4, the Municipal Housing Revolution.
Even with clean water and beautiful parks, the early 20th century brought a new, devastating crisis. Just look at the stark contrast. At the dawn of the 1900s, out of a population of 2 million, a staggering 300,000 people were entirely homeless. It was a disastrous housing shortage. But thanks to the incredibly innovative interwar Red Vienna housing programs, the crisis was systematically reversed. By 1934, 1 in 10 Viennese citizens actually lived in high-quality municipal housing. To truly grasp the scale of this solution, consider the Karl-Marx-Hof. It extends over 1,100 meters in length, making it the longest contiguous residential building in the entire world. Built between 1927 and 1930, this wasn't just some quick, cheap fix. No, this was a monumental, fortress-like structure that housed 1,382 flats for around 5,000 tenants. It completely redefined what social housing could look like. These housing complexes were an absolute architectural triumph, objectively designed to provide broad sectors of a population with light, fresh air, and sunshine. The planners actively rejected those dark, cramped, disease-ridden tenements of the past. They wanted their citizens to live with dignity. The massive windows, the sweeping curves, the way the modern architecture opens up to the sky above, it was all completely intentional. What's truly remarkable is the emphasis on community scale combined with those dignified architectural details. Out of the 150,000 square meter footprint of the Karl-Marx-Hof, get this, less than 20% was actually built up. The rest, completely dedicated to green spaces, footpaths, and children's playgrounds. With massive communal areas and stunning sculptural details on the facades, they were building a genuine community, not just a holding pen for workers. Because these weren't just apartments, they functioned as complete, self-sustaining mini-cities. Inside the Karl-Marx-Hof, you had integrated nurseries, dental clinics, lending libraries, and bathhouses. Since bathrooms didn't come standard in every flat back then, they built massive communal bathhouses, plus 2 communal laundries with 62 sink units. They even had advice centers for mothers, pharmacies, post offices, and cafes built right into the complex. It was a truly holistic approach to urban living. And as a brief, surprising little historical side note, there is a smaller building in the Dobling district named Karl-Marx-Hof. Now, many people walk past it and think someone made a huge spelling error on the facade, mixing it up with Karl Marx. But it's actually not a typo at all. It was named after Karl Marx, a social democrat politician and president of an adult education association. Just a fun little quirk of the city's rich municipal history. So as we wrap up this explainer on Vienna's incredible century of transformation, it leaves us asking, as cities today face new crises, what ambitious blueprints will define our next century? Vienna showed us that with visionary infrastructure, from tearing down literal walls to piping water from the Alps to building the world's longest residential building, you can fundamentally change the trajectory of a metropolis. The blueprint is there. The question is, who will be brave enough to build it next? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning the world around you.